What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Bahrain Grand Prix race review. Happened a few days ago. Sorry it's late. Before you ask, I'm not a scientist. I don't know what's going on around here, but we are going to be talking about Formula One today. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, I would really support you leaving a comment and subscribing and sharing. So let's hop right into it. It's for me clearly the first or second best race of the season. And I think it's the first. If you wanted to argue that Australia was better, you could probably convince me that. But for me, racing up and down the field, obviously not racing for the lead, which is what a lot of people want to see, but up and down the field, second to last, the entire race, different strategies, um, a lot high tire wear, which is what we as fans want to see and bring strategy back into the race because I know in Japan we just saw, the one stop medium to hard or hard to medium, the occasional two stop, but it didn't work for most guys. But let's get into my first topic here is Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri, who will be the world champion this year. And for me, I think Lando Norris will win the championship. I think he's struggling with the car. He said that it is the best car right now, but he is still struggling with it, which is understandable. Max had struggles with the car when it was the best. It happens to everyone. Lewis had that when he had the best car. But Oscar Piastri is looking very good right now. He does have a couple small mistakes like in Japan in Q3, in Sector 1, like in Australia in the Grand Prix, but he's looking very good. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. 99% chance it'll be Lando or Oscar or Max. You obviously can't count out Max because he is clearly the best driver, on the grid right now this year. But there's a lot of things that you could easily overreact to. We are only a sixth of the way through the season, and as I said before, in Australia, we were like, oh, Lando Norris is going to win every race. And then in China, we are like, oh, Oscar Piastri is way better than Lando Norris now. And then even after the sprint race, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, Lewis Hamilton is the greatest of all time, which obviously. But they're saying Ferrari's going to win both championships this year. And then after Japan, they were like, oh my gosh, Max Verstappen is going to win the championship this year by 200 points. Um, and now they're back to saying Oscar Piastri is way better than Lando Norris, which he isn't. He's not way better than Lando Norris. You could argue right now in his current form that he's better, but I think from here, Lando will improve, and obviously Oscar will improve too. But I think that it will be a close fight to the finish between Lando and Oscar, and depending on how what Christian Horner called big regulation changes heading into Barcelona, I think it could Max Verstappen could get back into the race for the championship. Obviously, didn't have quite the weekend he wanted in Bahrain. The car was just terrible, but he was still able to score some points. He's still third in the championship right now, and that's another thing I didn't mention that Lando's still leading, albeit by 3 points, but he's still leading. And I guess technically, he extended his championship lead because he was only leading by 1 point heading into the weekend. But yeah, it'll be tight between Norris and Piastri, and depending on what happens to the regulations to the flexi wing in Barcelona, that could be a big change there. But shifting into now Red Bull, what is happening with that car? Because obviously Max Verstappen was not happy because they were showing his radio messages every 2 minutes. But it's interesting because when the car was better or good, and Max Verstappen was competing for wins and podiums, the second driver, which was Lawson at the time, and last year Sergio Perez was struggling hard. especially Liam Lawson. But now that the car is worse for Max, it's better for the second driver. Maybe it's a bit of what we saw at the beginning of 2023 when Sergio Perez was consistently on the podium and winning in Jeddah and Azerbaijan. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sharp improvement in Max's car down the line and a sharp um, dip in performance from Sonoda, and everyone's going to be coming for his head. But I think that's what happened with Sergio Perez. And also getting into it, are the F1 TV camera crew and direction and graphic managers absolutely cooked while recording the race? Because last week in Japan, they missed literally the only thing that happened in the entire race. And we saw Charles Leclerc's pit stop instead of Norris and Verstappen heading side by side out of the pits. And this week they missed Oscar Piastri winning the race, and they also missed Verstappen and Gasly battling on the last lap, which were two very bad misses. And it's just disrespectful to Piastri because you have to, he wasn't on screen the entire race because there wasn't anything entertaining there, but you have to at least show him winning the race. And getting into, other Red Bull stuff, I mentioned Liam Lawson. What does this mean for him down the line? He obviously had another poor weekend. He had a poor weekend last weekend, even though everybody was like, "Oh, Yuki Tsunoda's cooked," because he got out qualified by a V carb, or a Racing Bull, whatever we're calling it nowadays. But yeah, Lawson had a couple more poor weekends in a row. That's 4 out of 4 this season. So yeah. And also, I have to mention Aston Martin's terrible now. I saw a thing on social media that said that Adrian Newey has nothing to do with this 2025 car, which obviously I'm not surprised. They hired him to work on the new regulation car heading into 26. But I'll get into it later with my driver ratings of the weekend. But the Aston Martin car is terrible. Fernando Alonso barely makes it through to Q2. Lance Stroll does Lance Stroll. And yeah, um, and getting into my second to last point is, can Max Verstappen still win the championship? And I think it's going to be tough for him. If anyone can do it, it is Max Verstappen though, obviously. But it'll be tough for sure. The car isn't there. It's the fourth fastest car right now. It's not faster than Ferrari, not faster than Mercedes. But yeah, I think it all will depend on what happens heading into Barcelona. Or is it heading out of Barcelona? It's one of those. I think round 9 would be Barcelona, I think. So, and then the whole thing, I don't know if this has anything to do with the direction or the cameras or anything, but the George Russell's DRS opening, him maybe almost getting a penalty, I don't know, but he didn't get a penalty, which was good. His transponder wasn't working, which obviously isn't his fault. I saw also that Charles Leclerc's DRS opened for a minute at some point on his own in a corner, which is highly dangerous. He doesn't want to pull a Jack Doohan, but that's it for me in terms of race review. I'll be doing another one after Saudi Arabia this upcoming weekend, the final stint of this triple header in this beginning the season. So yeah, if you guys like this, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. All right, you guys, welcome to my 2025 Bahrain Grand Prix driver ratings. So we will be going in reverse championship order from 2024, and then the drivers will be also in reverse championship order. So let's get right into it. Gabriel Bortoleto qualified 18th finished the race 19th, got promoted to 18th. We both know that it's a terrible car. They both are waiting for the Audi car next season, but for me, it's a 4 out of 10. Didn't really see much of him, and obviously, he finished 6 places behind his teammate on the road, even though Hulkenberg did get disqualified, but you still should be finishing closer to your teammate. For Nico Hulkenberg, qualified 16th, finished on the road 13th, got disqualified for excessive plank wear. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. He technically got into Q2. I know that there was the whole why are you deleting laps 45 minutes after it happens, which is a whole thing in its own. But made it into Q2 even though we shouldn't have. Started 16th. Finished the race 13th on the road, disqualified, excessive plank wear, 6 out of 10 for me. It's still a good weekend. You can't really blame the driver for that. And yeah, finishing 13th on the road is a decent weekend for Nico Hulkenberg. All right, Alex Albon qualified 16th, started 15th, finished 12th. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. It's a middle of the road weekend. Obviously, Alex Albon has been doing very good until this race of the season, but it's not a stinker per se, but you have to, not every weekend, but most weekends he needs to be finishing in the points. So for me, it's a 5 out of 10. Carlos Sainz qualified 8th, did not finish. This was a hard one for me. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 because, expectations are low, pressure is high for him. Qualified 8th, getting into Q3. Who knows where Albon would have been if they correctly did that lap deletion correctly. But for me, it's a 6 out of 10. And yeah, going into the V carbs, Isaac Hadjar qualified 12th, finished 14th on the road, got promoted to 13th. For me, it's a 5 out of 10. Obviously, the pace of the V carb was not there heading into this weekend compared to the last few weekends. I think he did mostly everything he could have, and it's a 5 out of 10 for me. Yeah. Liam Lawson qualified 17th, finished 17th on the road, got promoted to 16th. I'll change it. I'll give him one more. It's a 4 out of 10 for me. It's a 4 out of 10 for me for Liam Lawson. Yeah, worse than Hadjar. He needs to be beating Hadjar at this particular moment in time because he is experienced. He has 10 plus races heading into the season under his belt, and he needs to be finishing ahead of Hadjar, maybe in the points. All right, heading into Haas. Ollie Behrman qualified 20th, finished 10th. It's 9 out of 10 for me. The only reason why it's not a 10 is because it's taken into account the entire weekend, meaning qualifying in the race. And it would have been a 10 out of 10 maybe if he qualified a bit higher, maybe get into Q2. But yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for Ollie Behrman. If it was only the race, it would be a 10 out of 10. But since we do qualifying, it is a 9 out of 10. Esteban Ocon qualified 14th, finished 8th. For me, it's a 10 out of 10. If Behrman got close to this in qualifying, it would also be a 10 out of 10. But I think Haas is the 6th or 7th or 8th fastest car. The midfield is all very close, but they had decent race pace. They were good on strategy and on their tires. Maybe Ocon got helped out by the safety car, but it is a 10 out of 10 weekend for Haas, or I guess 9.5 for Haas, and it is 10 out of 10 for Ocon. Right, going into Alpine now. Jack Doohan qualified 11th, finished 15th on the road, got promoted to P14. It is a 5 out of 10 for me. Maybe if Gasly wasn't as high as he was, it would be a bit higher. Maybe got gypped by the safety car a little bit, but had a decent race, better than last weekend. He has a lot of pressure on his shoulders with a lot of people wanting Colapinto in the seat, a lot of people wanting Paul Aaron in the seat, a lot of people wanting Hirakawa in the seat. And so, yeah, it is a 5 out of 10 for Jack Doohan. Pierre Gasly qualified fourth, qualified fifth, started fourth, finished seventh. It's a 10 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly. He had no business bringing that Alpine into P5 in qualifying and to the second row to start the race, but he does bring home Alpine's first 6 points of the season, and it is a 10 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly. Lance Stroll. This is where I am an Aston Martin fan, so this is where we get into the, not too good. Waiting for 2026. Can we just simulate all the races like in F124, please? Qualified 19th, finished 18th, promoted to 17th. It's a 3 out of 10. Not good. Out in Q1 once again, coming off the poor weekend in Japan. I know everyone was saying like, "Oh, Lance Stroll is so back after Australia and China," but he's back to Lance Stroll. He's not that good, and so it is a 3 out of 10 for me. Fernando Alonso qualified 13th, finished 16th, promoted to 15th. It is a 4 out of 10 for Fernando Alonso, obviously. Um, he basically finished like Lance Stroll did, but a little bit higher because he's better than Lance Stroll. The Aston Martin car sucks. It's a dustbin, and we're all just waiting for 2026. It's nothing but pain. But it is for Fernando Alonso a 4 out of 10. Going into the higher tier teams now, Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli qualified fourth, started fifth due to the one place grid penalty, finished 11th. You can't give Antonelli too much crap here because of the safety car. He was on for a good result. It is a 7 out of 10 for Kimi Antonelli. All right. Anyways, George Russell qualified second, started third, finished second. It's a 10 out of 10 for George Russell. It should be a 10 out of 10 for anybody finishing ahead of a McLaren. To be honest, he drove a good race, the DRS issue, but he did a good job fending off Lando Norris and getting back into second position at the start from Charles Leclerc. And so it is a 10 out of 10 for George Russell. Yuki Tsunoda qualified 10th, finished 9th. It's an 8 out of 10 for Yuki Tsunoda. It was nothing special from him, but it's showing improvements. He's into the points. He got into Q3. It is an 8 out of 10 for him, and maybe looking for more improvements down the road. Max Verstappen qualified 7th, finished 6th. It is an 8 out of 10 as well for him. Obviously, you want him finishing higher, and maybe he did all he could for the team, but, slow pit stops. It wasn't necessarily his fault. It was mostly the car, but it is an 8 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. All right, heading into Ferrari now. It is Lewis Hamilton, qualified 9th, finished 5th. It was a good strategy from Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton drove well, battled Lando Norris for a bit. It is an 8 out of 10 for Lewis Hamilton. Finally, a good points weekend for him. And yeah, not much to say. Kept it clean, and he did very well. 8 out of 10. Charles Leclerc qualified 3rd, started 2nd, finished 4th. It is a 9 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. Starting on the front row, beating beating a McLaren in qualifying. Almost got onto the podium, but finished fourth. This is about where he needs to be finishing, maybe higher in the future. Um, but yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. Right. Oscar Piastri qualified on pole, finished first. Not much to say here. 15 seconds, 12 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. It's a 10 out of 10. Didn't really see him much throughout the entire race. Reminded me of a Max Verstappen win, a Lewis Hamilton win. Last year, maybe a Lando Norris win. It's a 10 out of 10. And finally, Lando Norris qualified sixth, finished third. It's an 8 out of 10. Poor qualifying. You need to be at least on Lando Norris needs to be at least second every single race. If you get beat by your teammate, it's whatever, fine, cool. But in that McLaren, he needs to be starting and finishing at least second every single weekend. I get there will be some things out of your control, like last year in Azerbaijan, but most of the weekends you need to be finishing and starting at least on the front row. And for me, it's an 8 out of 10 because you need he did do he did well in the race, but he could have done a lot better. Still managed a podium, still leading the championship. So for me, it is an 8 out of 10. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, I would really support you leaving a comment and subscribing and sharing. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.